So you hit the small screen with
Right.
L.A. Law, hung out there for a while. 1996, you make your way to the set of a movie called Set It Off. And of course, this is what the kids are now calling a blastic movie, black classic movie. Isn't that cute? Isn't that cute?
I
They're
hadn't
so
heard that. I like
innovative.
that. A Blasik movie.
A Blasik.
Okay.
A Blasik movie. And I mean, like the cast alone, like I would watch anything that they made. You had Jada Pinkett Smith, Queen Latifah,
Yeah.
Vivica Fox, and Kimberly Elise.
Yeah.
And you've got all of these really, really strong women in these really strong roles. And here you are, a dude in a story about like women and friendship. How did you see your role as being one of the key men in this story?
You know, I have to tell you, I wasn't going to do that movie
Really?
initially. I was playing Jackie Robinson in a movie with Michael T. Williamson and Delroy Lindo called Soul of the Game, all about the Negro Leagues of baseball. And I was in this, I was in this place of like black historical figures and noble Negroes and great stories and all this. And this was, I forgot what year it came out, but this was right after Boys in the Hood had come out, and Menace to Society, and there was a lot of conversation of, the script comes out about, you know, these 4 black women in the hood, and like, now we're gonna do girls in the hood, and there was a little pushback, like why they only want to see us as slaves or in the hood and
Yeah.
Hollywood or
Slaves
these
and
movies at
thugs.
Greenlight. So, and I'm doing this historical figure playing Jackie Robinson, and I remember, I'll be honest with you, I remember I was in my hotel room and I read the script. I read the first 16 or 18 pages, and I read the scene where Jada Pinkett's character sleeps with a guy to make money so her brother can go to college. And I was like, I don't know if I want to see that.
Yeah.
So I passed on it. And F. Gary Gray, who directed it, I was directing music videos in the 80s, and he was my first AD for my first 3 videos. But he was directing it, and you know, I was encouraged to go, but why did you say no? And I said, you know, actually, I didn't finish reading the script. And my manager said, you need to finish reading the script. And when I read it, I saw the love story between Jada and Keith, the banker that I played. And I thought that was a nice balance. But I also understood what the story they were telling about these 4 sisters, that is a love story, that is of friendship and of loyalty and being there for each other. And that was one of the mistakes I made that I'd never made again. If I pass on something, I want to make sure I read it and understand it from beginning to end, because it's one of the decisions I made that I'm most grateful for,
Yeah.
because people reference that movie to this day, and the fact that Jada and I were able to portray this black love story in the midst of such chaos,
Yeah.
and he was her refuge out of this chaos, and I'm very proud of that film to have been a part of it.
It's so good. I would say that you are pretty much established as a heartthrob, I would say,
Oh, Lord.
in Hollywood. Should we take a vote? Everybody
we
agrees.
don't have to do all that.
Everyone agrees with me. Y'all couldn't see it, but it's true. Does your ability to make so many people feel things romantically in these scenes, does it just come from like your natural suaveness? Is it just like, oh, all I gotta do is like be seductive, no problem, I got that? Or does it come from, is it the script?
My man is laughing
Like-
over here behind the camera saying, what is she talking about?
I mean, I know that, okay, I self-identify as kind of awkward, kind of goofy, lovable, very charming.
Very lovable.
But thank you. If I had to like act out a love scene or like just pretend to like somebody on screen, I just feel like I would be so uncomfortable and it just would be the goofiest thing in the world.
It can be.
Is it ever tough for you?
Well, I don't know if it's tough. It can be uncomfortable. I mean, especially
Okay.
if you don't know somebody.
Yeah.
I mean, speaking of set it off, we had a love scene, and Jada had a body double. 'Cause
Oh.
she made the choice, and understandably, and people do that.
Uh-huh.
You know, I don't know.
So that she wouldn't have to act out, like do the love scene?
Some of the physical stuff. No, well, the physical body parts,
Right, that's
which
what I
I
meant.
respect, and I absolutely get that.
Uh-huh.
So literally, this actress comes in and it's like, "Hi, nice to meet you," and then you jump right in the bed and do all the physical
Wow.
stuff. So yeah, it can be
What?
awkward sometimes.
So, speaking of romantic roles, you joined the cast of a show called Sex and the City in its final season, and you were the love interest of the redheaded one, whose name?
Cynthia Nixon.
Yes.
Miranda.
Yes.
Yeah.
Had you been a fan of the show before you took the role?
I'd be lying if I said yes. No.
That's
I
fair.
just knew whenever that came on, I wouldn't have any. You know, my wife was like, "I can't even deal with you right now. I'm focused on Sex and the City." That was before I think even DVRs, or maybe we had them, but we weren't doing it too much.
What made you say yes to the role?
Honestly, she said you should do this. No, again, I mean, honest with you, I said no first.
Yeah.
2 years prior, because there was an episode, if you know Sex and the City, where Kim Cattrall's character, the fast one, wanted to be with a black man. And it was all about the curiosity of what's a black man like, are the rumors true, and all of that. And I said, thank you, but no thank you. I appreciate it. I'm honored. I mean that. I don't take that light when people offer you a job.
Yeah.
But I said I'm not interested in being the black curiosity.
Yeah.
But thank you. So 2 years later, they came back and said, and offered to come join the show. And I said, well, is it going to be about his race, or is he going to be able to be a human being?
Yeah.
They said, no, he's just a doctor that's in her building that she meets in the elevator, and they hit it off. And
So a normal person.
normal person. Yeah, but that was important. That's been like a long, since the beginning of my career, conversation that I don't want to be the black guy,
Yeah.
even though I was the token. But you're going to be forced to deal with I keep going back to the word humanity, because that's really what it is. It encompasses everything.
Yeah.
Not just your race, not just your gender, not just your profession, not just your your nationality, but everything that you are.
Right.
So they said, yeah, we don't want to deal with that. And I think I did 5 episodes. I only did 5 episodes. I think they mentioned it once, because
Really?
it's obvious. You don't have to talk about the black guy. you know?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, it's obvious what you are. So yeah, so it was a lot of fun. And again, I'm glad I said yes to that, because I didn't watch the show.
Yeah.
So I didn't know, but I had no idea that show was as popular as it was, and still is.
Yeah. I'm very taken with your with the ease with which you seem to turn down roles and big chances. Did you have to learn to say no? Did you have to learn that it was an option that you have? Because I remember Beyonce saying in Homecoming, which I'm assuming that you've seen. If you haven't, just don't. Okay. But she was talking about having to, like, she didn't understand that she could say no at times in her career. And I'm just like, you're Beyonce. You should know it. But I think it speaks to, like, a lot of times we are so conditioned to not having a choice, I know that I've had to learn how to say no.
That's a good point. Yeah.
So did it always come naturally to you? Is it something that you had to work on?
Well, I was 21 when LA Law started. I was 21, so I was right out of college. I mean, I would tell you, I was too young and dumb to be scared. So early on, I didn't know that you can't say no.
Right.
You figure, you got your life ahead of you. So then things started to happen, and then you have a foundation to speak to, and have credence and credibility to say, I've built this, so I don't want to go down that path.
Yeah.
So therefore, I'm gonna say no. But bigger than that, it's a faith walk.
Yeah.
Much bigger than that, it's a faith walk. And it's really about saying, I'm not gonna put my future and my happiness in the hands of a studio executive or a network executive or an agent or a manager, because you're not my God.
Right.
I mean,
Amen.
if you're gonna be real, I'm serious. It's about what I do and where I'm gonna end up. I believe that's already preordained. So I have to listen to that inner voice,
Yeah.
and not give that power over to somebody who's getting a paycheck to produce a product. But that's not easily done
Yeah.
all the time, and I recognize that.
We must talk about your work in Ava DuVernay's When They See Us.
I love me some Ava DuVernay.
I'm just so glad that she exists.
I'm so glad she exists.
I really, really am. One of the things that I thought when I heard about this project, first I was really, really excited. But I was also like, it's heavy, and I mean, like, life is heavy, sure, but like, it just seems like we're at a place in society where, like, everything is on fire, and, like, trauma is just, like, front and center in so many stories. Was it ever, like, draining for you to, like, kind of exist inside this movie in this completely, like, unjust case?
Oh, sure. And it's, your point is well taken when you say it's heavy, and and so many people have said, I wanted to watch it, or I haven't seen all 4 episodes or 4 hours. I started watching, it was just too heavy. And my retort to that is, these guys, their lives are altered, and they did years in prison. If you're interested, maybe we can give them at least 4 hours of our time.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was. But it's whenever you create anything of art, a performing art, whether it's film, television, stage, when it's heavy especially, you have to have that release valve. And I would tell you, as heavy as it was shooting it, because of Ava's direction and her spirit, everybody wanted to really bring their A game. but also, you know, you work hard and you play hard. So,
Yeah.
you know, there was a lot of laughter on that set, believe it or not, because we felt like we were doing something that was necessary
Yeah.
and timely and relevant.
Do you have a favorite memory from making the movie?
I have a favorite memory? I don't know, no real funny memory necessarily, but just watching these young kids. I walked on the set the first day and I was blown away at how young these guys were. You know, I think the guys, they were 14, 15, 16, so one of the actors was actually 14, I think 15, one was 21, playing younger, but you forget that they were babies.
They were babies.
I mean, as a parent
They
now,
were
I look at these kids,
children.
they were babies. So I think that's what stuck out more than anything, but also then watching these kids come there as just professional actors slamming, take after take, just putting it in, getting it in, doing the work, honest and raw. So that's inspiring to me, just to watch these young kids do their thing.
I'm always very taken by the roles that you take. And another project that you worked on last year was Dear White People, another Netflix series.
I think my last 5 projects have been with Netflix.
Oh, really?
Actually, yeah.
How's about that?
How's about that? Netflix has been very, very good to me.
I don't want to spoil it too much for people who haven't seen it, but your character is a professor, college campus, gets kind of swept up in some Me Too-ish type stuff with a student, a white student. So given our current political landscape, like these are conversations that people are having right now, like the abuse of power of men who are in charge and the Me Too movement, and then like matters of race, you know, Black Lives Matter is a thing. What was it like to portray someone in the middle of a fictionalized account of something that's really going on right now?
You know, Yvette Lee Bowser was an executive producer on the show at that time. Justin Simeon created the show, and she was a friend, and she we were at dinner together, our families, and she said, "Would you come on the show?" And I was like, "Well, what?" Well, first of all, yeah, because he's a friend. So I was like, "Yeah, if I got time, I'm there." And she told me what the character was about. So to answer your question in terms of like the hashtag Me Too movement of it all, I quite like getting in the middle of telling relevant stories. You know, part of my love of what I do is to entertain, but if you can provoke thought and stimulate thought and change and be a part of that conversation, because we haven't had that conversation a lot with in our community.
Right.
You know, there's the Bill Cosby of it all, and that was really kind of the broad stroke template of this character, because this character that I played, Professor Brown, was beloved by all the students, and he was a hero to these students. What do we do in our community specifically when our heroes fall? That was the impetus of this storyline. So to be a part of telling that story, from a creative standpoint, I loved being a part of that, and the reason I loved it is because it's necessary that we have these conversations with regard to the specificity of who we are and what that means to us, and why sometimes it's harder for us because we don't have as many heroes as we probably should have and need to have. So when one of us falls, I like Cosby. It's like, what do we do with that?
Yeah.
Where do we put that? Who do we look to? Do we look within ourselves? Do we look to other people? Do we look to our parents? Do we look to ourselves as leaders in our community, or our homes, or families? So I love being a part of those conversations. So to portray a character, he would probably now. I mean, listen, it's been out, so if you haven't seen it yet, some spoilers. You know, I don't mind playing bad guys. You know, people often say, "Why are you always playing a bad guy?" And I said, "Well, you don't really know how my body works. I play a lot of good guys the first 10 years, but when some people say, you always play the bad guy. First of all, bad guys are more interesting to play because there's mystique. Good guys, you know what you're gonna get.
Yeah.
Bad guys, you don't always know.
Right.
So
right.
I love that. So this would be considered a quote unquote bad guy. But let's get under the layers. That's what I enjoy doing. Let's uncover. Let's mine what's underneath that to find out why do people act that way.
That's why I always have to explain to people why I'm so interested in serial killers. And they're always like, "Are you a serial killer?" And I'm
Me
like,
too. What?
We could have been talking about serial
Listen,
killers the whole time.
I'm have a morbid fascination with what goes wrong in a brain.
Right.
Make
How
that
does one get to the point where you got like body parts in your freezer?
I played a
You
serial
know?
killer. Yes. The exploration. There's a movie called Just Cause with Sean Connery and Lawrence Fishburne and Ed Harris,
I am
and the
watching
young
that tonight.
Scarlett Johansson at 10 years old.
Wow.
But yeah, that exploration was crazy.
You have another upcoming Netflix miniseries about the life of a one Madam C.J. Walker.
Yeah.
It's a period piece. I love period pieces.
I love period pieces.
And I feel like there are not enough black ones. I don't know if that's true. It's probably true.
It's true, but it's happening more and more.
Yes.
Partially because of Netflix and the streaming services. Yeah.
What are you most excited for people to see in this miniseries?
Oh man, Octavia Spencer for one. She
Yeah.
played Madam C.J. Walker. Academy Award winning Octavia Spencer.
Academy
Love saying it.
Award winning, indeed.
And Tiffany Haddish is in it as well. She plays her daughter, and Garrett Morris and Bill Bellamy. You know, what I'm most excited for people to see is the story itself. It's called Self-Made. They have a new title now, but Self-Made, the life and time or legacy of inspired by Madam C.J. Walker. But you know, this was a woman, for those who don't know, who was the first self-made female millionaire in our country. Not black, not
Wow.
white, the first female self-made millionaire. In other words, she did not inherit it, she worked for it, and she built it. And she did that by creating black hair care products for African-American women at the time. This was the early 1900s. She died in 1919. So this was extraordinary. She lived right next door to John Rockefeller. So she was balling out of control.
I didn't realize
This is
that.
what I'm saying. There's so much about her life we don't even realize. So for people to just kind of see her life and understand who she was, I'm looking forward to. So my character is C.J. Walker.
Yeah.
So her name was actually Sarah Breedlove. And that is a sign of the times because she was known in relationship to her man, Mrs. C.J. Walker, Madam C.J. Walker. But their relationship is very interesting because he was a salesman and a marketer, and so they kind of fed off each other. And then, you know, they had a life and issues, as you can
Yeah.
imagine. That's the good drama.